Okay.
Now it is, see, that first 5 minutes of brilliance is now gone. I don't even, anyways, I thought I clicked the button, but I had to click it twice. Damn it.
That's okay. It paused us on purpose.
Man, slowing down to speed up is already showing up in our conversation, and I haven't even started.
So Ian, lead us into this space, and then we can move into what we want to share with each other today, and whoever's going to be listening in.
Yeah, so whoever's listening into this. So last week I tried to get this ball rolling, and like I was just sharing with Karen when I didn't know I wasn't live, was that we have these conversations all the time, where we come together and share what's going on with each other, generally in preparation for some coaching workshop or things that we want to do. We get tremendous value out of sharing our own personal experiences and using those same coaching practices in our daily lives to help center us and ground us and keep us moving in a positive direction. And oftentimes, whatever we're working on, that particular tool or whatever is serving us in our day-to-day lives. So instead of me hogging these conversations and storing them on some sort of server somewhere and not actually getting them out there, I figure, why not go live and share the same stuff that we're sharing there, but now in a format where other people can take something away from it and get value from. So that's why we're starting to produce this stuff. And our intention is that we come together every week at this ballpark time and share either a tool or whatever's going on with us and how we're using coaching or an amateur version of that coaching in our day-to-day lives so that we can serve and help other people so that other people can grow from that.
And we talk about coaching in such a formal way, and there is formal practice of coaching, and we've been in our lives. You are still in one where you have that's part of what you do as an offering for a business, and that's great. We need that. But what happens in the work that we've done is what we've mined out of the coaching development and the coaching regime that we've been in is these nuggets that not only help our clients, but are very near and dear to helping us continue to be on our path of how we want to serve people, the way we want to show up, how to engage in these complex conversations that we are in with many, many people around us. Some we know well and some we don't. So we've been able to mine out some of those ones that are just really practical, replicable, and then kind of embedded, and I would say embodied in our lives and how we are and how we are with others. And I'm just always reminded of that in my life right now, in my life situations. And I can see where this particular practice, this embodied way of showing up to support myself and others, how it can serve me in times for last week, which was very intense, pretty scary, and working in a system that was struggling, our systems are struggling, taxed, how useful they were for me to stay centered and be able to contribute and mobilize not only the care providers that were serving us, but also the individual that needed to be taken care of. Mm-hmm. How I could show empathy and kindness, but still be an advocate and be clear and help navigate the confusion that we were in. I left with tears of joy knowing I've got something to give in what's my next contribution as I move in this world of the last chapter of my journey on this earth. So I could see the value. So the slowing down to speed up, Ian, when you brought that up as our kind of overarching topic, that was a really important practice for me to be in, to slow myself down, to calibrate my heart rate, to center my body, to pay attention to what people were saying and what needed attended to in the moment when there were multiple things that needed attention. Mm-hmm. So ability to be able to stand there and kind of soak it up, imperfectly, by the way. But I had felt confidence and I knew I was contributing. I could see it in the eyes of others.
Yeah, there's I think a lot of people think of coaching being like an outward activity versus like an inner awareness, and being conscious enough to ask yourself some of those questions that keep you level-headed and grounded. I mean, I had some similar but different experiences over the past few weeks because my father was in hospital for a week when he came to come visit, and ended up having to stay an extra week in town, but stay in the hospital. And I mean, I was forced to slow down to help take care of him, the process, my mom, so that I could be there for them when they needed it. And even though I had my own set of things that were really important that I needed to do, it kept me aware of what was important in the moment, and not try not to worry about all the things that I can't do.
That's so interesting. As we know, we often align. That was my statement last night to the two women that I'm supporting. Let's focus on what we can do, not what we can't do right now. And it really centers everybody. And the other thing the question was, because I'm accompanying this journey on their behalf. And I said, what do you want that you can do? And they were able to, in the messiness of that, find common ground for the two of them. And they felt instant relief. Instant. It was like, oh my God, I don't know what just happened to me. I feel so at peace, and I now know what I'm supposed to do and what just happened, and so just reminding ourselves it isn't always, this is relationship in the conversation model.
I'm curious to see what happens now. Karen might have to pop out and pop back in order to continue here. She often has internet issues on her end, living in the middle of nowhere on a lake with some sketchy internet. There we go. And she's almost back. You're muted. So now I get to experience what it's like to watch other people's podcasts when they lose their guests. And now I get to see what it's like for me from this end as well.
Sorry, Ian. As you can see, I'm on my phone today.
It's okay.
And a text came in and just muted me out. So I'm back. I'm learning how to be on a podcast.
Yeah, that's something for you to learn how to navigate also.
So I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said because you immediately went mute as well.
No, I didn't continue on because it was your story to tell. Okay. I mean, what was coming to mind for me was wondering, what did you do to get them? Because you said once they knew what the difference between what they couldn't do and what they could do, it provided them some peace and calm and direction for themselves where they felt really good. Was there something that you asked them that helped them settle into that? Okay, I can only do this right now.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. What I did say is what we knew we couldn't do. And they knew that, but they were still attached to what they couldn't do. Mm-hmm. So I represented that and said, can we do that or not? And they said, no, we can't. So it allowed them to, I think, make a decision and I said, how about you add these two words? For now, we can't do that. Because I know it's important to them. And maybe we can, but right now we can't. And we know that. So it opened up the possibility of their brain to focus on what can they do to achieve the same outcome. Because I asked them what the outcome was. That's the second thing, Ian. What do you want? What's the outcome you're wanting to create? Because that's often foggy. That's in relationship. What would you want to make happen? What would success look like for you? When you get clarity, then the actions, the possibilities in the next steps are easier to think about and I would use the word transcribe in orally and in writing so that you can mobilize your next steps. So that's what happened, is I'm actually spending time holding space for them to let go of what they couldn't do. Isn't that interesting? Because nothing's going to happen with them until that abandonment for now could happen, for them to see, wow, what else? What's the can do? And that freed them up, and they quickly mobilized their intentions, their plans, what they could do, which you might scroll me down this morning as they, chat with each other, because I'm an accompanier. They're the doers. So yeah, that's interesting. I spent time helping them let go of what they couldn't do right now.
But I think that's the difference between when you're stuck in your own head with the same thoughts of what I can't do, what I can't do, what I can't do. And then your invitation to them to hold that for them. Okay, let's hold the what I can't. Let's hold what I can't do off to the side, which then frees them up to be able to see it from a different perspective, to see it from an alternate way of being that allows them to then be able to sit in that in more empowered space. I see Karen's got another call. I'm going to pop up something here in a second because I have a feeling this will help explain what we are going through. Yeah. So we often talk about the conversation model. Let's see here. And I think this might be of benefit for people to see. And Karen can go through it when she's back on. Oh, she's in the waiting room. I have to add her back to the stage. I'm going to add her back in. Okay.
It's definitely the phoning and the texting. And of course, as you know, the situation that I'm in right now is fluid. So I'm still good. I'm not having to attend to anything, but there's outreach happening. And they don't know I'm on a podcast. And for some reason, Ian, the phone is
it's active. So I think maybe for future whatever conversations that we have, just put it on airplane mode for like that, let's say whatever duration we're going to be on, so that it doesn't become a distraction. But it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world.
It's our first one.
First real one. Yeah, exactly. Hold on a second. I want to see if I can show something here. How can I do that? Present. I thought it'd be interesting if I could bring up the conversation model so that people could see what it is that we're talking about. For those who are brand new and have never seen, this, can I? Okay. Maybe if I take a screenshot, maybe that'll work. Yeah, I just think it's interesting that how when you give people permission to get out of the way that they're seeing things, that you can free them up to be able to see things from an alternate perspective. It changes their complete outlook on where they're at and what's going on. If I drag and drop that, will that work? No.
Well, again, in relationship possibility and action, we talk about resistance and how we embrace that. And when there's something that you want to do that you feel is critical, important, justified, there's a word, it's hard to let go of that. And I think so this model, this conversation model that we use as our backbone, I mean, I have a ton of models that I use and we're trained in my certification. This one is my daily embodied way of showing up. And quite frankly, it's the one that serves me in my life.
So well, this model can be related to any situation that you're in.
Yeah.
Karen, you do a wonderful job at explaining what this model is in a really easy way to digest it. So if you could just quickly run us through what the conversation model is, and then we can explain how does it fit into day-to-day life.
So in every conversation, we have 3 conversations, and I say the word available to us. Conversation for relationship, conversation for possibility, and conversation for action. And when we talk about the slowing down to speed up, we can all probably resonate that the pace of life, as you're seeing with us right now today, has really sped up. And we've been trained to be good doers, get action done. That's where we feel the reward and impact. It's tangible, you can see it. So we live our lives in action. And what's happened is we have lost our capacity, or we don't know how to access the other two. And when all three are together, it creates a sustainable long-term action. In conversation for relationship, that's where we find out get clarity and focus. What's really going on right now? What are we trying to make happen? What's getting in our way? So we start to get some shape to what is it that we want to mobilize. Once we have that, then we can move down into possibility. And we need clarity and focus if we're going to get any traction in action. We're just going to keep spinning on the hamster wheel if we don't have that. In conversation for possibility, we get to slow down so we can tap into what do we know? Have we done this before? Who are some people that I know I could talk to? Where's my resources? So we start to gather what we already know and the resources and the capacities we have. So it's like, okay, I got a few things already. And then we look at future. What's missing? What do we need to do what are some ideas? Because when we're freed up when clarity comes, we actually can generate more possibilities in our head. We're expandable machines. So we get ideas. So then when we move down into action, that's the wheres, the whats, the hows, the whens. So it's the mechanics of clarity and focus, what we know, what we need to do, and what are our next steps. I'm going to get you to talk about resistance.
And then you've got resistance.
Yeah.
Right. So how does resistance factor into the conversation model?
I embrace resistance. I think it's actually your inner knowing talking to you. So I get super curious when someone's resisting, because what's happened is there's something missing, something that hasn't been said out loud, maybe not even in their line of sight. So it's about moving back up and saying, if you're down in action, for example, because that's where you might get a lot of hesitancy, because now I got to do something that might be a little uncomfortable or require me to be courageous. So it's moving back up. What's missing in possibilities? What do you need? Who do you need? Is there anything there that you need to add in? Do you need to shift it a bit? Is it too big? And so you start to be able to move up each conversations to make sure that when they get down to action, they have clarity and focus. And I use these two words, and so does Ian: confidence and competence, because it's inside of us.
And I think your current situation with the people you were dealing with, I think, can fit really nicely into that explanation, right? So they're down in action, trying to make things happen. What I can't do, kind of stuck on that hamster wheel. And you can see the resistance. They don't want to be there, but they kind of feel like they're stuck. So they're doing actions that they can't, and it's not producing results that feel any good. When you offer that possibility to them, when you sense that resistance to, okay, let's see what we can't do for now, which then opened them up to that freed them up, freed you to go back into the conversation for possibility to find out what the clarity and focus is on the next thing that need to do. From there, you create the possibilities on what's possible right now to take different actions that are where there is some confidence and competence and ability to make strides forward in a smaller, more bite-sized way.
That's it. So it gave them, what came up as you were explaining it, Ian? They felt they had their power back.
Mm.
Isn't that interesting? They said, I'm going to sleep well tonight. It was in the way they described where they were at. And I didn't even solicit that, Ian. It was like an immediate, like full body shift for them. And hence this morning they're mobilizing for the feeling I'm making a difference. I have I know what I need to do. They're starting to move forward. Where yesterday was a hard day because it was a big, like, we talk about the hamster wheel, around and around and around, complaining about what wasn't working and when the system was broken, and we were around that hamster wheel. And we need to let it out. We need to let our frustration out. But staying on that wheel too long, it depletes your energy. And so, that allowed them to rest, like get off of that wheel and take some deep breaths and move look at that freedom to explore something different that was similar, right? So, yeah, I feel like our power of pause, the slowing down to speed up, the fact that you named it last week because I was not accessible. And I thought, how do you know? That's exactly what I want to talk about this week.
Well, it's those moments of pause and slowing down that allow access to the information that we need, which is already within us all the time. It's just when we're on the hamster wheel, we're too active for us to be able to access what's there. So that intentional pause, that intentional questioning, that intentional slowing of yourself allows that space for things to change and shift, to gain access to that internal wisdom. I had a thought and it's gone now, but yes, you can have the heat. It's always a debate in this house. Can't lose power again. I can't be the one who falls off right now. Yes, you can have it. Okay, good. Shoot. My mind was going on a bit of a tangent there when you were talking about coaching is always trusting that the other person has everything that they need inside of them already, right? So it's more about slowing things down for them so that they can access that. And if we trust that they have the answers, that was the thing. We try as much as possible not to insert our own belief of where somebody is at or what they're feeling. So when you said they came up with that on their own, there's so much value in that discovery for themselves that, yeah, I can do this. I've got this. I have what I need, without you inserting your own viewpoint on, what they should be feeling, or, oh, I imagine you must be really struggling with this right now. Like, no, let them tell you what it is so that you can ask a question that helps serve them in slowing that down so they can grab onto the next nugget for themselves, which is an empowering process.
I want to flip it a bit because you said something really important, that what my role has been is to listen. And I've been writing down. I've been the note taker. So think of the power of just accompanying people and letting them speak to each other and taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I would say, I'd say, well, here's the things that you said you wanted to do. And I'd summarize them. And I said, would you like me to send you the notes? And because when we're in action and reaction mode, like you just happened to you lost maybe your nugget in the moment. So being able to lay down the nuggets on a piece of paper for someone else, as they were making a discernment of what was next for them. Like I felt so, and it's not my personality, me, I love to talk. So my contribution was listening, and taking notes. And I felt powerful doing nothing but writing down what they were. I felt like a giant in the conversation, saying nothing. I don't know if I'm using the wrong metaphor, Ian, but I felt like I was holding a massive space for them. And I was like a giant around them, holding it. I don't know.
Okay, so then my question to you is, why do you feel like a giant while doing nothing?
Because I know we don't have space for people to manifest and be large, because we have habits of wanting to share our really great idea. Guilty, 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 guilty. Working very hard at doing that, not as often. And I feel I'm getting more confident and competent at that. I don't think we've been taught how to hold space for others, because it's not easy. We know that when we do our coaching practices, that's the biggest muscle development is.
I won't be surprised if Karen says she has to go soon. She's definitely in need, and she holds such great space for people. And what I would say is, I have a feeling or a sense that why she feels like she's such a huge part of that space holding would be because when you're able to hold that space and just record those key phrases, those key things that they say, people often won't even know that they've said the thing that they've said until you repeat it back to them. So once you've held that space and they say they're still confused or they're lost, you'll say, you know what, you said a couple of things here that I think might be important. And when you repeat those few things back to them, they're going to go, oh yeah, did I say that? Yeah, that's really important. That's interesting. I want to tackle that, or I want to jump into that more. And then they'll springboard off of that, all because you held that space for them. The other thing you can do often in a conversation like this with somebody is get them to, once they've had a chance to get a bunch of stuff out of their head, if something that comes up that you feel seems pretty poignant or important, ask them to write down what they're thinking. That gives them pause, gives them space, gives them a place for them to capture in writing what's in their head. And then you can ask them to read it back to you. And oftentimes there's a different connection that happens to those words, that information, once it's come out of here onto paper and then read aloud back to them. Something happens, and then they connect to it in a different way. Whether they think that it's still an important thing and they want to dive deeper, or whether now that they've heard it out loud, they know, oh, that's bullshit. I don't need to hold on to that anymore. It doesn't sound right to me. So there's tremendous value in that writing of the thing down as well. I don't know if you got any of that, or if you go completely mute when that happens or not.
It's like the universe is, every single person I've been in contact with for 2 months around what I'm holding space for is calling me, and they don't know anything about what's going on. It's really interesting what the universe is doing today. I'm just saying, in the middle of a snowstorm.
Well, I mean, that's all part of slowing down. We all have, needs, and we're thinking about at any given time, because we can't think of anybody else, is what do I need right now? I need to talk to Karen. I need this. I need that. I need it now. Like, we're on that hamster wheel together. That not everybody knows that you wanted to jump off it for a few minutes to do something else. But what I was just sharing was that space. I had a sense that maybe part of the reason you felt so huge in holding space for people is when you're taking notes, you're recording their thoughts. And there's so much value in, especially when there's a nugget or two there that came out and they say that they're lost, and you're like, well, a couple of minutes ago you said X and Y. And they're like, oh, interesting. I want to dive deeper into that thing. Or I don't, even when I hear that said out loud, that doesn't ring true to me anymore, or whatever. So it's holding that space long enough, capture those nuggets, offer them back to that person for them to decide what it is that they want to do with those. And you give the power back to them to steer the ship, to identify where they want to go with it. And that can't happen if you're just stuck in here in your noggin there. So that space holding is an incredible place to slow it down and then offer it back in a smaller bit that they can tackle.
And again, another practice that we haven't, brought into our changing the conversation and seeing its contribution over and over again. So it's automatic for me. Like I have a piece of paper and a pen whenever I'm sitting in these kinds of conversations. And my job is, again, is doing it on behalf of sending it back to them, not following up with them, not embedding what I think they should do. It's verbatim, word for word, what they said.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important that I'm not manipulating. I'm going to use a word. Yeah, sneaking in.
Interpreting and giving your version of events.
So it takes I feel my active listening skills, my ability to truly listen word for word and write it down has, again, strengthened over the years, because I see the gift it gives others and what it does for me. It lifts this responsible burden off of me, knowing that by doing this, they are going to be able to respond their way.
Well, also knowing that it's
right?
not yours. It's not yours. You don't have to take a step in their feet, they're in their shoes ever. So why decide to be any part of that process other than to allow them to make their own steps for themselves? It's none of your business. None of your goddamn business.
Yeah. And I have been the recipient of being in the chair of being given that space. And I know how it has made a difference in me. So because I have benefited and learned and grown and been successful because of someone else doing that on my behalf, I know its power. So that's why both learning to be in the seat of the person wants to be coached on a topic they want to mobilize is as important as the other chair,
right,
in development and growth. I will have to sign off soon, Ian. I am now into my second, I haven't told you about my second thing that I now need to attend to, but I need to drive an hour and a half to town and then go in a snowstorm and then go to another hour and a half in the snowstorm to get somebody to an appointment.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I actually said that while you were gone this time. I'm like, I won't be surprised if Karen says she has to get off now because somebody needs her attention and time and attention. So
I will just say that I feel ready for the next, now that I've been able to share and spend time kind of registering my experience over the last week. So thank you for creating the space for this today for me, because I think you made it more about me today, and I do appreciate that.
Maybe, but I also needed a place to kind of figure out a couple of things and do a real version of this, not just me talking to myself. Giving an opportunity to explain what I think this is and could be, and then to explore a topic that I know is both near and dear and important to us right now, because of how hectic our lives have been. So I think this is a great place to start, kick things off. If you have questions, comments, put them in the post, whatever comments in the chat, and we can respond to those potentially in future conversations, future podcasts. So ideally, we're here every Thursday at 10 o'clock. So maybe you can come and have a coffee with us while we're discussing another coaching topic. Maybe even have a little coaching conversation one time. Who knows? This is going to be an evolving little beast, and we'll see where it takes us. Final thoughts, Karen?
Well, my biggest takeaway this last week is people change by the way you listen to them.
Well, thank you for listening today. All right. We'll see you all next week. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.